SaPerior. It is great to be here with you. And you know your reputation precedes you, right? People know you. You've done some great work in Starkville, and we want to talk about all the things that you're doing, why you're doing it. But I kind of want to start your story really from the beginning, because I think people have to know who you are to understand why you do the things you do and sort of understand your journey. So let's start off with you in the house with your 4 sisters and your mother, a single mother. Talk about life growing up in that situation.
Well, growing up, it was myself and my older sister. And it was us for a little while because my sister that's underneath me, she is 7 years younger.
Okay.
So it was a time, it was just me and my older sister, Sheena. And during that time, for a while, my mom was just a great mom. She was clean, no drugs, no anything. But she did get into drugs. She's a very strong lady, one of the strongest people I know. She's been through a lot. Her mom died when she was 16 years old, and she had a 2-year-old daughter to raise. And so she just had to figure out the world on her own. But she did get into drugs, trying to cope with everything that was going on. And it took a toll on not just her, but it took a toll on us. So there's a lot of struggles that we had to go through. My older sister, Sheena, she did a lot of just trying to fill in the voids and the gaps, even though she was still a child. You know, she tried to take care of me, make sure that I ate, make sure that we ate, just making sure that she started sewing, a sewing class in school, and her teacher would allow her to bring home material. So sometimes she would take that material and make new outfits for me, just simple outfits, shorts and a shirt, just so I could have something new to wear sometimes to school.
So you and your sister learned how to take care of each other at an early age, as well as take care of your mother, right?
Yes. You know, and my mom, she did have times where she would be clean for months at a time, and then she would relapse. So it was just like up and down like a roller coaster all the time.
When you think about watching your mother struggle with addiction, and you've talked about her, you know, seeing her struggle with loneliness and depression, what did that do to you as a little girl, seeing that?
Well, as a child, I did not understand it. Of course, there was some anger because, you know, you don't understand what's going on. I think I had some depression, and I didn't recognize it back then, but depression, being sad, being lonely myself, because for a while, like I said, it was myself and it was my older sister, and we're 8 years apart. And so I'm like the nagging little sister. She's the older sister, so a lot of times I was by myself. And if my mom would leave and be gone for 2 days at a time or something, when she came back, I used to be so excited that she was there, but then the arguments would start between her and my older sister because she was left to be the adult during that time.
Wow.
And you know, so it would be excitement, but then sometime immediately after that it would be sadness because they're arguing and I'm you know, alone again. So
you've got mom, and she's already taken care of you, your older sister, younger sisters, and then another child is introduced. Tell me about that, this baby that comes.
Yes, so my mother had another child after me 7 years later. Her name is Shakina. And a year after Shakina, my uncle, my late uncle Alex, he had a child, and him and the mother of the child at the time, they actually came to the house. My mom was gone, and it was me and my older sister. And basically, you know, he was always asking us to do something. So he asked my sister, hey, you know, would y'all babysit, you know, for 2 hours, you know, and he offered whatever amount of money to my older sister for babysitting. And she agreed. And we had that baby from then on. And
wow.
yes, so her name is Rochelle, and she is phenomenal.
And she is your sister.
She is my sister. She's my first cousin, but she is my sister. My mom took her in, and just so happened, I just believe that was God, with having a sister that at that time, Shakina, who was 1 year old. She was one. all of her clothes and everything, like we had everything. So it just got passed down to Rochelle. And so, I mean, she stayed with us, she lived with us, and my mom took her in, she raised her. And
you helped raise her?
Well, of course, I was the big sister, so I had, I had duties.
Of course.
But during that time, my mom was, I think that was some of her best years. Like she was going to work. She was a great mom. Up to 3 o'clock in the morning doing, homework lessons and things. So she was very, very good during that time, with my sisters. But eventually she did make it legal and adopt, Rochelle, but she was always my sister. Well, our sisters, and her baby, as she says. So
there was a time during your childhood when as you were watching what was happening in your house and knowing that you felt like you needed to step up. And so you started a little business out the window that you were selling to neighborhood kids involving pickle juice. Tell us about this.
Okay, well, going out playing with the other kids, we had a neighborhood lady who used to sell snacks all the time. And there were several times other kids would get snacks and have those snacks, and I couldn't afford it. And so I just thought one day, hey, I'm gonna make me some snacks and I'm gonna sell them. She's doing it, I'm gonna do it. And we had some pickle juice in the refrigerator at that time. And so it was no pickles left. So I just took the pickle juice and I made ice cubes and I sold them out the window, and I sold them for less than, she used to sell like the icy cups. So I sold the ice cubes for less than she was selling the icy cups for. And I just made money to, so I could have some of my favorite snacks. And it went from that to me selling like Kool-Aid ice cubes and different things like that.
And the neighborhood kids came and bought it.
Yes, they came and bought it out of the window, out of the kitchen window.
Well, that actually then moved on to you selling snacks, you say, at school. And you really were at this point, you say, trying to help bring some money into the house to help your family. So you sold snacks at school.
Yes, it actually started in the 6th grade. And my mom actually gave me the idea. We used to always, Family Dollar was our favorite dollar store, but we used to always go to Family Dollar. And she started me off with a pack of Reese's, and she said, hey, you can sell these for 25 cents as $1 a pack. You can make $2.50. And so I took that pack to school and I made that $2.50, and I was so excited about it. And so she bought me a backpack purse. And I just started, I started with that $1, went to $5 or $10 worth of candy. And, she even taught me how to manage my money, saying, hey, don't spend all of your profit. You need to save some so you can come back to the store and get some more. So put some to the side and then spend some. So she was just teaching me money management early on.
So were you ever nervous, though, about taking the snacks to school and selling them and thinking that somebody was going to say, hey, you can't do this?
No, I was never nervous about it. I did used to be late for class sometimes because people are like,
snack lady, where's the snack lady?
Yes, they hold them in the hallways and stuff. But I was a little late for class sometimes. But most of the teachers were very supportive of it. They would even say, hey, here's $1, give me 4 Kit Kats or Reese's or whatever. But it wasn't until I got to middle school that it became a problem with one teacher. And when he reported it to the principal, I was told to not bring my backpack purse back, not bring my candy back. Well, he didn't take all my candy, but he took all my Butterfingers. He took all my Butterfingers. He let me keep the rest of the candy.
Butterfingers.
Yeah, he told me that was his favorite. So he took all my Butterfingers and he was like, I'm not going to write you up. But he said, you can't sell candy at school. And so I stopped then until I got to high school. But I did sell candy through the remainder of high school.
You got a job at 15.
I did.
Tell us about getting a job at 15 years old.
Oh, it was a lot of work. My first job was at Christie's Hamburger. We used to actually stay probably 2 miles away. And there was a grocery store there called Green Oaks that was next to it. And we used to always go to that laundromat when we could. But when we did get enough money for a good burger, that's where we used to go to eat. So I was very excited about working there. But it taught me a lot of lessons in hard work early on. And
did you work every day after school?
I didn't work every day. I probably worked about 4 days out of the week, but the hours, especially weekend hours, were long hours because they stayed open late. But even after closing, there was so much to do with cleaning and, you know, just so much. So, you know, I would be tired the next morning for school, but I would still get up. I didn't miss a day of school because if I missed a day of school, for me, that was me missing an opportunity to make some money. So it had to be something really bad going on, or I was sick or something for me to miss school. I was going to school every day, rain, sleet, or snow.
I'm sure you didn't at the time you were 15 and 16 working at Christie's understand the work ethic that was building in you.
Yes.
But as you look back now, do you see what that experience did for you?
Yes, I mean, it taught me early on, and I mean, I went on to have other restaurant jobs after Christie's. I think I've worked both McDonald's in Starkville, both Sonics. So I did continue on to work throughout high school at different restaurants. That was just my first experience, but it prepared me to have experience in other areas. And then the fact that the staff was small, it was a lot that you had to do. So when I went to, you know, McDonald's, which is a chain restaurant, you know, I was kind of prepped for it. So
you went on to put yourself through college. So you started first junior college, then you went on to Mississippi State. Talk about the journey and the decision to go to school. I mean, you could have said, I need to just work.
Well, that was my idea. I said that I just couldn't wait. I mean, going through the things that I went through a lot of bullying. I went through, you know, just not having what the other kids had and trying to fit in. Sometimes, you know, you put the spotlight on yourself because you're trying to fit in so hard. So, you know, there were, like, I remember one of my classmates, you know, we were friends. And when I got dropped off at school one day because I missed the bus, and he got to see who my mom was. And I got out and I was smiling going towards my friends, and I used to always skip breakfast because I'm ready to get to the playground and, you know, whatever. And I was going over there to my friends, and he was like, oh, SaPerior, that's your mama? Your mama's on drugs, you know? And so that morning, I didn't skip breakfast. I went to the cafeteria and I stayed there until the bell rang because I was so embarrassed to go back out because he said it in front of all of the kids. And so just, you know, doing that, my sister bought my first pair of name brand shoes, as I would say, Nikes, in the 5th grade. I wore those Nikes, they had holes in the bottom. I wore them until I got to 7th grade.
What did that experience do to you? I mean, because you remember it clearly. You just described it to me very clearly. And you were in elementary school when that happened?
That was actually 5th grade when that experience happened. But the joking and the, you know, it went on, and I think it eased up a little bit when I got in probably 8th grade, but it was a lot of just picking, you know, joking, saying things. So, yeah.
Did those things, and obviously you wouldn't say it back then, do you think those things made you stronger?
It did make me stronger. It actually made me the person that I am today. I mean, I work with kids with behavior and emotional problems, and one of the top things that I let them know is, hey, we don't tolerate bullying. We don't tolerate bullying. You know what you've been through, but you don't know what the next person has been through. So you know your story. Think about your story. Somebody else could be going through something worse. Don't bully. So yeah, it made me compassionate. It made me have empathy and sympathy for other people. So yes, but it did make me stronger.
You went to EMCC. What did you get your degree in at Mississippi State?
Sociology, the study of people. I got my degree there. And I was actually I knew I always wanted to work with kids. So I started off with elementary education. And I took, as an elective, I took a sociology course, a class, and I was like, what is this? I love this, you know? And so I just found out that
people. I want to know more about people.
Yes. So I found out, you know, that it was actually a major. And I was like, I'm going to major in sociology. You know, I wasn't worried about, you know, what the pay is for a sociologist or anything. I just saw that, hey, you can do social work, you can do so much. And when, you know, just going through the classes, I was like, hey, I can actually work with kids who grew up like me. I can help kids. So I'm, you know, I thought I had to be a teacher to work with kids, but getting that experience of going to those classes let me know, hey, it's it's so much you can do with this degree. So that's why I majored in sociology.
The entrepreneurial spirit that was sparked with the pickle juice ice cubes came back, and you opened a boutique for a while here in Starkville.
I did.
That catered to a really specific clientele, right? Tell us about that.
Well, my sister, SaPerior Patton Wilson, she opened her boutique head over heels. And I actually got the chance to manage that store and just learn the in and outs.
Okay.
And so a year after managing her store, I was like, hey, I could do this, and I mean, one thing I love to do is I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I can just ride down the highway and think of ideas of how to, So a year after that, I started looking for places. I actually opened in West Point first. I stayed open about 6 months over there. And then I moved to Highway 12 in Starkville, Mississippi. And I'm so grateful for Kim Moreland and Dan Moreland, because there were so many places that were vacant that wouldn't give me a chance. They would not give me a chance. And Kim Moreland, she sat in the office with her across from her dad beside me, and she said, Daddy, give her a chance. She said her sister owns the store, down the street, and she's been in there and she sold me so many shoes. I know she's going to be a good person. Let her have it, Daddy. And he said, all right, I'm going to give you a shot. And I signed a 3-year contract, and after then it was a yearly contract. But my boutique was one of the first plus size boutiques in Starkville, and owned by, an African American young woman. And I was on the main highway. I was out in a great spot.
The girl who was selling, Reese's Pieces in middle school. Now you've got your own boutique.
Now I got my own boutique, and I have employees, and, I'm able to, even in everything I do, I'm always going back to, hey, how can I help somebody? So being able to hire youth workers, being able to, and let that be their first experience, and teaching them the ropes, being able to shut down and after hours have young ladies to come in to show them how to open their own businesses, being able to, I just remember one year that I had this young lady, and she would come in almost every week, and her parents would let her look around the store, and she'll say, hey, I'm going to come back and buy something. But she never would come back and buy anything. And I remember it was late April one year. She came back and she had $50. She said, I have $50. And I told my mom I wanted to spend it here. And her mom actually was sick at the time, and they were struggling, and she bought her outfit, and she got to the register, and I asked her, I said, this is your senior year, right? She said, yes, ma'am. I said, how was prom? And she said, well, I didn't get to go to prom. She said, because we couldn't afford it because my mom is sick. She said, so this $50 is what she was able to give me, and I wanted to spend it here. And so ever since then, I made sure that we sponsored young men and young women to prom. We collaborated with LaJocelyn Young and different people to make sure that hair was done, by beauticians, haircuts were done. We got the tickets, makeup was done, SaPerior Young. We just had so many people to collaborate. We ordered dresses for them, and we just made sure that all they had to worry about was showing up for the prom. And wow. It was awesome just to have that experience. And I know what it feels like to have the ambition to want to do something, but the only things that's standing in the way is finances. And so since at that time I had the finances, it was like, hey, how can I use these finances to help people? So a lot of times it was behind the scenes, but yeah, we did a lot of giving back.
I want to fast forward to 2020 because you've closed the boutique. You've now gone back to working. You're in a group home, and the pandemic hits. And you were laid off.
Yes. So actually, I was so used to. I had a mentality of, I never want to be back in poverty. I never want to be broke again. I never want to struggle again. And so I always worked 2 or 3 jobs. So even though I had my boutique, even though I had 5 or 6 employees at a time, and I had a great income, I still worked my job. So in September the 11th of this year will make 17 years that I've been at my job. And so, yes, we got laid off during the pandemic. It was all of a sudden, it was a message that we got. And I was actually at my older sister's house, and we were sitting at the table, and I got a message, and I looked at her, and I was like, we are laid off until further notice. Now,
don't come back to work tomorrow.
Do not come back. You're laid off to further notice. And this is before, we knew about unemployment. We didn't know what was about to happen. This is when COVID-19 was hitting. The shelves were empty everywhere. Like, nobody knew what to do.
Well, tell me, getting that text message and knowing that your main source of income is now gone, what is it inside of you that decided, well, I'm just going to go help some people?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I was sitting there immediately after I said that to her. I felt God tell me to feed people. And I'm going to tell you what made me be obedient. When God was telling me to close my boutique, the 7th year, I just felt, I didn't obey. And I just kept it open. And it seemed like the more that I stayed open, the more I was going in debt, trying to keep it open and trying to keep employees paid. And it was just getting rough, but I was still helping people. I was still helping other young ladies open their businesses that were being successful. But I'm like, I got the recipe to this thing. Why is mine not working? And I was going to the gym one day to relieve some stress, and it was clear as day. God showed me like a vision, like, you're gonna have a group home, you're gonna help kids. And it was so scary to me. I got back in the car. I didn't even work out. And so I knew then that he was showing me a glimpse, because I was being disobedient. It's like, hey, I got something else for you. Close this store. So I closed the store. And even during that time, I had 8 tumors removed, 8 fibroid tumors. One was about this big. I was actually off of work for 2 months. I went through a rough time. I had my car repoed because I was behind on everything. I was still going in debt. And it was a very dark time for me. And so that was 2018 over into 2019. And so this is my first time in so long that I'm only working one job. I don't have a second job, or this is my only source of income. And so when I get that text saying I'm laid off, the next thing that I get is feed people. I looked across the table. So rock
bottom moment, go feed people.
Go feed people. I looked across the table at my sister. I said, I think God is telling me to feed people. She said, well, you said you were going to start being obedient. So if you feel it, then do it. And thoughts ran through my head. Like, I'm not a chef. I know how to cook. I cook some good spaghetti. I can fry some chicken. But what am I supposed to do? I'm going to tell you. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And so I had $50 in my pocket. And I knew that I needed food at home. And I was like, just be obedient. So I took that $50 and I kept me some spaghetti sauce at home. So I used the sauce I had at home, and I went to the store and got what I could with the $50. I made a Facebook post, and I was just like, if I'm laid off, what about the children that I work with? They're gonna have to be home. And I know that, every Friday I was having some kind of little party for them, but it was actually to give them an extra meal and just to, And I was just like, what am I going to do? And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and feed people, because I may run across some kids, just like the kids that I, work with, or maybe, a mother that's laid off who can't provide. So let me do these 25 plates and just start there.
So what is so remarkable to me is that you went from, you said 25 plates, and now here we are.
Almost 17,000.
17,000 plates. How did that happen? I mean, the community came forward, and you got volunteers, and you just kept cooking.
Yes, I did a lot of YouTubing because they got tired of spaghetti. I believe they never complained. But yes, I started this during the pandemic, and it got a lot of shares. The post got shared multiple places, and just different people started reaching out. Like, hey, I got, canned goods. I'm not gonna use these. Can I meet you somewhere? Can I drop them off on your porch? I'm gonna leave them on my porch so it won't be contacting you. Just come and pick them up. I just had so many people to start donating. So every week what I would do is I would see what I had, And then I say, okay, I got this, this, and that. Well, I can make this meal. Okay, this week we're serving this. How many people need a meal? And, you know, people would just inbox me and say, hi, my mom is, you know, she'll be out of chemo at this time. Is there a way you can drop a meal out to her porch? Or, you know, meeting people, I would actually take some meals to the dialysis clinic.
So
you
there
know?
was really no organization for what you were doing. It was just, if you need it, let me know when and where, and we're going to bring it to you.
Yes. And, you know, sometimes I would have people who would be embarrassed because they're like, hey, I am working. I'm working, but hours are cut because of COVID. But I just started telling people, don't even tell me why. Just tell me you're hungry. Just tell me you need a meal. It's not about if you're receiving assistance. It's not about if you're, you know, just tell me. You know, some people still tell me their stories, but, you know, it didn't matter why. It didn't matter what your income was. I mean, I've served people who had a lot of money, but their body was ill and they couldn't get up and cook. You know, so I mean,
and
it's
this went across all cultures, all races, all ages, right?
Yes. And just being able to go out during that time, I mean, I just met amazing people. Now, I thought I met some people when I owned the boutique, but doing this kind of work, you meet so many great people, and just being able to go and meet people where they are. I hope and I pray that soon, you know, I can have a building, but for the time being, I converted. I had like a little in-home gym. It's a pantry now. I converted into a pantry. So I started, you know, one shelf at a time, and now I have shelves all the way around.
And people constantly are donating.
People are donating. I wasn't a nonprofit. I didn't even know about a nonprofit. I was just doing what I was, you know, new to do. I wasn't keeping track of receipts or anything because I knew it was a sacrifice, and I knew that if I went back and look at those receipts and I was like, you just spent $200 on food for somebody else this week, but your light bill is due. You know, I knew that I would look back at that, and I didn't want to regret what I did because I knew that I did it for the right reasons. So when I got a hotel for somebody who was homeless, or if I, you know, got somebody a new pair of shoes or whatever someone was needing, or food, I would always throw the receipts away. So I didn't know about a nonprofit, but someone wanted to donate to me once, and the ask was, you know, are you a nonprofit organization? Do you have a nonprofit? And, you know, there's like, because if you're a nonprofit, I can donate to you and it'll be tax exempt. And I didn't know anything about this. So that's when I started to research, and that's when I started to look into it. And so November of 2020 is when Safe Place Foundation Incorporated was established. That's when it came about.
Official organization,
because the name of my group home, I already had the plan written out. It was going to be Safe Place Residential Facility. And so when it, you know, I was like, hey, well, I got, you know, a chance to do an organization, I'm going to keep that name.
Safe
and so
Place.
That's what I did.
So we're here at Peters Rock Church. This is your church, and you get a lot of support from this church. In fact, this very building that we're in now is where you facilitate some of your programs.
Yes, the life skills enhancement class for youth. We host that class. It was twice a month, but right now it's once a month on Saturdays. And we usually use this facility, and we set up tables. We have volunteers to come in, and we work on self-care, money management, entrepreneurship. We did one class where the kids learned how to actually make their own t-shirts and mugs and, you know, just different stuff like that. But just learning life skills that we don't normally get in school because they're so on curriculum, but a lot of our kids need those life skills to succeed.
I'm hearing that what you're teaching them are the things that you learned from way back when you were a little girl, helping to take care of your younger siblings and your mother.
Yes.
Teaching them those things.
Yes, things that I wish someone would have, you know, told me. So, yes, so even, you know, taking care of your body and so forth and so on, like just things that the kids need to know. I mean, and self-care is one of the self-care is the next class that we're going to do. and I didn't learn self-care when I was growing up. I learned to care for everyone else, and I neglected myself. And, you know, having those 8 tumors removed that I talked to you about, and, you know, just sometimes being exhausted, feeding people, having my feet swollen, and, you know, just things that I go through, I realized that, hey, if you don't tap in and take care of yourself, you can't do anything for anybody else. And sometimes you need that kind of motivation to take care of yourself. Sometimes it should be, you know, like self-motivated, but sometimes it's other people that'll motivate you.
As we're wrapping up this conversation, I want you to talk about and tell our viewers, there are a lot of people out there who are looking for something to do, a way to help, and they feel like, well, I don't have the resources, or I don't have the talent, I don't have the time, but there's an inclination to do something, and you sort of have always had that, and you act on it. So where do you find, even in moments of discouragement, when you're tired or when you're sick, where do you find the motivation to do something, and how do you tell people to just do something?
Well, I find motivation in when you're actually in this thing and you're doing it. I don't have an office for people to come to. I mean, I'm going to wherever they are. So I'm feeding people that are in the park. You know, they're washing up in the bathrooms. I am feeding people who, you know, the Walmart employee who just got off and they're smiling with their coworkers, but they're sleeping in their car in the parking lot. So these are the people, even college students. I know it's a college town, but we have homeless college students also. And so just coming across these people, sometimes it just gives you a reality check. Like, even though I might be having a bad day, I am still blessed. So that is motivation, just knowing that you have helped somebody, that someone got out of chemo and they had a meal, and that's their only cooked meal for that day. And I say to anybody, just do it. Just start. I mean, it would be amazing to have a building right now where people can actually come and sit down and eat and so forth and so on. But I started in my little kitchen in my house, and it's 17,000 meals that have been served
and counting.
So you know, some people wait on a moment. Just do it. Just take a step. And faith without works is dead. I'll say that to anybody. Put in the work. Take a step. Gotta take 2. Gotta take 3. He'll guide you. But sometimes it's a test. If God can't trust me to cook in my little kitchen, how can He trust me to cook in a big kitchen? If He can't trust me, you know, with $1,000 a week to feed people, how can He trust me with $5,000 or $20,000 to feed a multitude of people? So sometimes you just have to start small, learn those lessons along the way, and then just wait to go higher. So just start.
You are a remarkable person.
Thank you.
And you are doing great work.
Thank you.
And as a resident of Starkville and a native, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
It has been great to watch your journey and to watch people jump in to help you. And I think they see your heart.
Yes.
And they see that it's genuine. So thank you. And thank you for sitting down with us and having this conversation.
Thank you. And can I just say this? I could not do this without the help of the community. So I would like to just say thank you to the community. Everybody who, if you shared a post, if you donated anything, if you recommended someone that you knew needed something, I just want to say thank everyone for the support.